don't get to hide. I get to hide in the wind when I'm filming a video. So we are 51.7 kilometers into a bike ride today. This is Dave. Dave has been on the channel before, but he has the dubious joy of being one of my teammates on the lost video. The one video of the Grand Tour last year that never got made because I can't find the footage. But Dave's a great rider. Came out and did the tumble stage last year that went past the place where I got married. That was a tough day, hate a tumble. You won't be able to hear anything he says because he's not wearing a mic. That's probably a good thing because he doesn't ever shut up. So we're on our way toward Glastonbury Tour. You won't be able to see it, but Glastonbury Tour is over there. It's a beautiful day, it's still windy. And we are, like I say, 50k in. 50k into a 200k bike ride, which I've never done before. Neither's Dave. So you're coming along for the ride to see if we can manage it. So far, so good. So I've gone through a lot of different plan changes. We were originally gonna just do a straight out 200k out and back. But this bizarre northeasterly that we've got at the moment means if we go too far south, we're just going to end up with a headwind the whole way back home, which, to be honest with you, none of us were really looking forward to. So what I've done is planned basically a West Cub ride down onto the levels where we are now for 50k out and then 50k back with the headwind. And then we're going to go back to my house, resupply our bottles, grab a few more gels, possibly grab a rain jacket because about 3 o'clock it's supposed to rain. Change the jersey into something a bit more lightweight because it's supposed to get up to 20 degrees and then head north. So that way 100k of it in the middle will be into a headwind, which is why we're turning into a bit of a headwind now. You probably hear it. So fingers crossed, the plan's going to try and shoot a little bit of a video every 50k. Because we've done a quarter of it now, don't we? Yeah. Quarter, it's all right, isn't it? We're going to be fine. Have we done all the flat bits? No, I don't think we'll be smiling at the end. We'll see, we'll see. So there is a couple of reasons for doing this 200k ride. Not least because I've never done one. Always is, if you watch the channel, Christ, that headwind is strong. If you watch the channel, you'll know I'm a big fan of Mark Beaumont, and I really like the sort of approach of him doing around the world in 80 days with the four 4-hour blocks of 100k per day. One day I'm going to see if I can do 400k in one day, and this is one of the stepping stones towards it. So like I say, we'll do 100k, go back to mine, resupply, and then do another 100k. So a quarter of what he was doing every day. Sorry, half of what he was doing every day for 80 days. Completely bonkers. Anyway, so that's one reason. Second reason, obviously, it's part of training for London to Paris. The first day is about 180k, and all the climbing is in the back end of it. There's about 1700 meters of climbing in the back end of the first day. So that's why I've backloaded this with about 1500 meters of climbing over the 200k. So yeah, just to sort of get myself prepared for that. Did the club run yesterday, 100k out, bizarrely, pretty much on these roads as ever yesterday, so just to sort of tire the legs out a bit. So we'll see how we get on. 53k now, ticking along, isn't it?
It's very much so, yeah.
Very nice. We'll see you at 100k ish. So that's it, 100k. Get back to the house. Feels like a headwind the whole way actually. It's just over 600 meters of climbing, so a little under half of the climbing for the day. Christ, that is strong wind. It's going to be strong wind on the way out. Anyway, I'm going to stop, change the jersey, grab a jacket, refuel, some food, coffee. Yeah, it's definitely got hotter, isn't it? What, 100.8 kilometers? I've got 100.7. Well, I knew I'd pretty much worked it out as a halfway point, so that's it, first half done. And now I'm going to head north up to the Severn Bridge, the old Severn Bridge crossing, go across the old Severn Bridge crossing, come back, and then head into Bristol, over the suspension bridge and back home. That sound good? Right. Block headwind for the first 60 kilometres or something. Welcome to Wales. We are literally just over the old Severn Bridge crossing in sort of lightweight jerseys because epic ride weather, the app I told you before about, told us the weather was going to get hotter up to sort of 20+ degrees. Dave's just gone into Tesco Express just to get some more water for us because the last thing I want to do is get dehydrated. We are at 144.8 kilometres, so a little over 3/4 of the way, and feels good. I think we've done about 950 metres of climbing, so about 500 metres of climbing left to do, most of that into Bristol, up to the suspension bridge, over the bridge and back. It's been absolutely glorious. I haven't exactly gone at rocket speed. I think we've just averaged around 24.5 kilometres an hour, something really not very fast, but that's not the idea today. The idea today was to ride 200 kilometres, and we've got about 50k of that left, just a little over 50k of it left to do. You almost managed to pull walking in cleats off. Thanks, mate, nice one.
They're gravel.
Oh, I see you cheating. Thanks, cheating, mate, perfect. Can of Coke and a bottle of water. I'll check back in at 150k, which I'd imagine will be on the bridge. Right, so that's 150 kilometres. They literally just come back over the bridge into England, 5 miles to Thornbury apparently. I don't think we're heading towards Thornbury. I don't actually know the route that we're taking to get into Bristol because I just drew it on Strava maps. So we'll see how we're getting on, but feeling all right, 50k left to go. Yeah, mate. Yeah, it feels all right. We've got like 500 metres of climbing, which more or less will all get done in one block, going up into Bristol, up into Clifton. And then we carry on the other side of Clifton up Beggarbush Lane to the top of Belmont Hill. So by the time we get there, that'll pretty much be all the ascent done. So I can say about another 500 metres of climbing to do. Not much. Feeling all right, Dave, you feeling all right? Feeling good, mate. Feeling good, mate. See how we get on. Very nearly, well, this is the second longest ride I've ever done so far, because I did 168 or something during the Grand Tour last year. So I certainly feel considerably better at 150 kilometres today than I did a year ago when I did it on stage 7. So that's reassuring, isn't it? Oh, there's a helicopter in the sky over there. See the helicopter, Dave? Just above the tree line. Finally, after 178 kilometres, we now have a tailwind. That promised tailwind is here, 178k. So Dave, because you haven't got a mic on, in a series of hand gestures, I'd like you to tell me how you feel.
I dried up.
Dried up?
Yeah.
Like shriveled? Okay, all right.
But good. Other than that, it's good.
Yeah, all right, good. Yeah, it's been a warm day for sure, but yeah, we are 178k. It's not quite the route that we planned to take home. I messed up and took us the wrong way around Henbury Golf Course, which meant we dropped down into Blaise Castle, and then we just come along the Portway, which was bloody horrible. The road surface along there should be ashamed of itself, really. But this is essentially my commute home now, which is a horrible way to finish a 200k bike ride. But nonetheless, finish it we shall. Other than the sort of relentless, has felt like a relentless headwind, doesn't it? Sort of for 90% of it. Yeah. They're like, yeah, well, if we're going to get a tailwind, this is the time to get it. But yeah, it's actually not been as grim as I expected. Bearing in mind, the last time I rode even remotely this far, I'd also ridden about, you know, 100, 120k a day every day leading up to it. So yeah, thank goodness, not so bad. I feel pretty good today. So we shall touch base just as we're getting home, which should be around the 200k mark. Speak to you then. $200k by mine. My man.
Oh mate, yeah. That was awesome. Thank you very much, mate.
Oh mate, thanks for coming.
Really good.
It was fab. It's easy. Jeffrey Bezos, Jeffrey Bezos, you did it.
Well done, matey. Thanks for that. Really good.
It's a long way to ride a bike.
That is, isn't it?
Fab. Save ride. Save ride or delete ride?
Hi, yeah, James asked me to pop a video to him after yesterday's ride, just to sort of, I guess, outline my experiences of it all, see how I'm feeling today and things like that. A bit of background, I've done 100 miles, that was my longest ride up until yesterday, and that was about 2 years ago. Since then I do ride regularly. I do probably 2 to 3 times a week a 50 to 80 kilometre ride, so I do a fair bit of mileage each week, but 200 in one go I've never done. So when he invited me to sort of tag along with him yesterday, it was a really good opportunity, with the weather being like it was and everything. I couldn't really say no. So the way I approached it, sort of the night before, I started to have a few sort of niggles because James is so strong and I didn't want to ruin his ride. I thought I'll approach it as 4 50-kilometre rides. I thought that for me was the best way of probably going about it. I know I can do 50 kilometres and I can do 4 in a week, so four in one day probably would just about be doable. And it turned out it was a fantastic day. I enjoyed every pedal stroke, to be honest. It was amazing. By the end, I was starting to struggle a little bit. I think it's probably fair to say James could have carried on. He's looked so strong towards the end, and I'll be honest, I think I got a tow for the last 60 to 70 kilometres home. He looked so strong. I was able to sort of turn the pedals over, but any climb I could just see myself falling back. So I hope I didn't hold him up too much. But yeah, it was superb. I really enjoyed it, and would definitely like to get on a few more of those and try and get the power all the way through the ride, rather than sort of perhaps for the first 150. That said, I feel really good today. Legs don't feel bad at all. I'll do a little recovery ride later on, I think. It's just contact points that are sore today, obviously the obvious one, and my hands. hands on the bars for whatever reason seem really sore. So I don't know what that's about. Probably need to work on my core strength, maybe. I'm not entirely sure, but it was fantastic. Absolutely, really good day. And yeah, thanks for having me along, James. Cheers.
Dave, you are absolutely amazing company, and if anyone needs a companion for a long ride, Dave's your man. Contact me. I can give you his contact details for a very small charge. Going to keep this bit of the video very short. Just go through some things that I've learned and some questions that have been raised by the ride, because I'm actually going to do a longer video talking about planning longer rides and kind of getting all that information out in that bit. So the first thing I learned from the ride is the most obvious thing. I can ride 200 kilometers. The second thing that I learned from the ride is that I actually could have carried on. I could have done 300 kilometers. I'm fairly sure I could have done it fairly comfortably. What I would have liked to have done was taken a short stop, get a little bit more savoury food on board, have a quick shower, change your kit, put some more chamois cream on and go, and I think I could have done the another 100k on top of it without too much of a problem. Number 3, well, it's that my training's working. Again, I'm going to do another video on what I'm doing right now in my training, but essentially, and I've always found this over the last sort of 18 months or so, that if I had been a pro rider, I probably would have been a classics rider. I seem to cope fairly well during the long rides and then have quite a considerable amount of strength and endurance left at the end. Now, whether it's because I'm clever at hiding in the wheels or I pick my moments to do my turns, only my club mates would really know that, but I do seem to be comparatively stronger than most other riders that I'm with at the end of the ride. And the fourth thing that I've learned is that for someone that gets bored very easily and doesn't enjoy endurance riding, I seem to quite enjoy endurance riding. And that leaves me with 3 questions from the ride. The first one is, could I have done it on my own? Now that's really tricky to answer and something I'll have to think about. To be honest with you, the kilometres just tick by. Anyone that rides on their own or knows other riders and rides with them will know the difference. There is definitely a difference. Could I have done it on my own? That's something that I need to work towards for next year to do the 400k ride, is that I kind of need to do it on my own, or I certainly need to be on the front for the majority of it. Something to have a think about. The second question I'm left with is, what speed could I have ridden it at? We rode it very conservatively, and if you want to look at the stats and everything, the link to my Strava is below, so have a look on there and you can look at the power and the numbers and the heart rate. But my heart rate was very low. It was 126 BPM, which is around about my max point, which is like low zone 2 for the entire 8 hours or so of riding. So it does make me wonder what speed I could have ridden it at. What would be my optimum speed to have ridden those 200k? I'm left with that question, of course, because we took it very easy indeed. And question number 3 is, just what in the hell was that helicopter doing? Anyway, that's enough for this video. Massive thanks again to Dave. Massive thanks to you for watching and coming for the ride with us. Like I said, they'll do a video on planning long rides. It will have more information about the ride that we did and some ideas on how to plan your own longer rides and how to get ready for them. And also another video coming out later this week about the training that I'm doing at the minute in terms of the kind of polarized stuff and a little bit of the stuff in between, normal training balance. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, hit the notifications bell below, give me a thumbs up, leave a comment about your longest ride, and I will see you on the next video.